Again, today we've got myself, always Alex, and today's special guest, we've got Mr. Paul Potratz with Potratz Advertising. Welcome, Paul. It's been a while.
Hey, guys. What's up?
It's been too long.
I know, it's been way too long. I kind of miss the days we used to hang out in Vegas and sit at the bar at 3 a.m. and be all screwed up in time.
That did happen quite a few times, didn't it?
And we would talk about taking the world over.
We almost got there.
Yeah, we did. So, we got pretty close on that.
Speaking of Las Vegas, 3 a.m. in the morning, you are not at NADA this year?
Nope, no NADA this year.
How many times were you asked that question?
Oh, I've been asked that question too many times. So yeah, I just didn't, it just didn't make sense this year.
Yeah, same here. I just said, you know what, I'm just going to sit this one out. But I've set out the last 2 years, so maybe next year it'll be time to get back on the wagon. Yeah,
this is the first one I've missed in a number of years, but I'm headed to Toronto for another conference that starts, and then
which one's that?
It is It's the Auto Remarketing Canada is what it is.
Okay.
So it's a Bill Zadite's conference that he's got going on. So
have you been to that one before?
Yeah, I've been to that one several times.
Okay.
That's the one you go and the booth doesn't cost you $70,000, and people actually.
Affordable.
Yeah, well, the dealers don't come walking. I mean, you know how they'll come by and it's like the tag's turned around backwards, and they're like, "Oh no, I'm fine. I'm not a dealer." And then they see it and it's like, "Oh, it's a dealer." So
yeah. Well, where you go, I would always go through and I'd steal some other vendor's badge or another dealership's badge. I think one year I stole Ralph Paglia's badge and was walking through the conference with that. That was quite entertaining.
Oh, I bet
Sexy Ralph.
Sexy Ralph.
He still calls me out for that. I ended up writing a whole article and posted it on Automotive Digital Marketing that year. It was made a few waves. I don't know if he was mad or hated me or what, but
nah, Ralph doesn't hate anybody.
Nah. So NADA, so you're not there. I'm not there. Alex isn't there. So what else? I mean, that's big news. What else is in the news, Alex?
Well, news from NADA would be something from CDK.
What's CDK up to now?
Well, the only source I've
right now, they haven't changed it again or anything.
What's that?
They haven't changed their name again. It's still CDK.
They're gonna wait until the dust settles and see what happens.
All right.
Yeah. Well, on dust settling, one piece of news. So the government blocked the CDK Automate purchase.
Wow. Why?
Well, I have to assume that
monopoly
kind of puts them in that monopoly category or close enough to it to be a problem. But they have, and CDK has a, they do this from time to time where they come out with something that seems really great, and because they've never stuck to it the whole way or kept it really great forever, I'm a little, I'm not totally buying this one yet, but. CDK's opened up their, to developers. So they're trying to work better with other vendors and startups and things like that to allow them to use their data better and faster so that new products can come and be built, blah, 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 blah. Brian Pash said that they're claiming it's going to be like Amazon Web Services. But I'm having a hard time putting the two together because ADP still charges for the dealer's data.
This is interesting.
Yeah, it's maybe this is a good thing.
Is this DealerRefresh or Comedy Central?
I don't know. It's CDK, so what else are we gonna say? It's CDK.
Yeah, CDK.
And it'd only be better if it was Reynolds.
Oh,
ouch.
Yeah, well.
So every week we sort of give Mr. Cliff Banks a shout out. I feel like we should just keep with the trend here,
Still he was the one who broke the
from him something.
Yeah, he's the one bringing us the Automate deal is off. So that news came from Cliff, which he predicted like last year.
Yeah, he's the Nostradamus of our industry.
Yeah, he is.
Sure. And then he wrote a great article that we have up in the forums. There's a link to it from the forums about car dealerships are not going extinct. I think we call it car dealers are not going to die in the forums. And that's a good one about how all these naysayers out there who are saying the end is not, or the end is coming for the dealership model.
Mm-hmm.
And Cliff's basically giving them the bird, saying, yeah, you were wrong. And he makes some pretty good arguments in there.
So I've got that pulled up on the screen. So if anyone wants to check that out, be sure to jump over into the Dealer Refresh forums. And we've got that dealers ain't going to die. A little bit of predictions here in the industry, but they're not going to die. How long have we been having this conversation? I mean, we can probably
maybe since we were selling horses.
Yeah, exactly. And if we go back through so many articles on Dealer Refresh, 14 years this year, we've had the forums up for 10 plus years. We can probably pull out about 30, 40 different articles that sort of touch on the topic of where dealerships are going to be. If we go back,
you can go into newspaper archives and find articles about businesses that were going to die because of the telephone.
There you go. Or Amazon's going to start selling cars, and dealerships are all going to close down, all that good stuff. But yeah, I mean, we could literally go back into the archive of Dealer Refresh, probably pull 30, 40 articles out from 10 to 12 years ago that basically say that we shouldn't be having this conversation. We shouldn't be sitting here talking about car dealerships in a traditional sense. It's always fun to go back through the old threads. Speaking of old threads, you've got the, of course, we're not allowed the hashtag because hashtags are, anyways, Alex has got a nice couple little slogans around it. He hates hashtags, so we're not allowed the hashtag anything.
If I said the end of that sentence,
we're not allowed.
Incredibly not politically correct.
Stop. But it's you brought it's our it's what do you call it?
Bump It Tuesday.
Bump It Tuesday. So we'll every Tuesday, Alex and myself, we've got a few other old school members of the community that will find an old but yet still relevant forum or thread on Dealer Refresh, and we'll bump that on a Tuesday. We'll highlight it across our social channels. So keep an eye out for that. It's every Tuesday, and let's get over here to Mr. Potratz.
Yeah, got a question
for your voice.
Paul.
So,
and
I think we haven't spoken in a long time, but what prompted this call, of course, other than just wanting to see you in one of your nice suits,
yep,
looking sharp all the time, was this video that you posted up on Facebook, a good 7-8 months ago. I've got that up on the screen, but bad leads, everyone in sales needs to watch this, and it's very true. Highly recommend it. I've spread this across my whole sales team. You've been forced to watch this several times. Lots of great information in here, and I know Alex, you've had nothing but great things to say about Paul in this video. Touch on it.
Well, Paul did send us over a little bit of an agenda.
Oh, yeah, we don't have to go by that, though. Hey, just.
Well, no, I'm going to warn everyone that we're not following it. Sorry, Paul. And this is going to be as ad hoc as a Refresh Friday has ever been. So I'm going to start this off by asking Paul, what you got to say about your mother?
Boy, yeah, no kidding. What did I put in there? I forgot my notes on there. What was that?
Why your mother thinks you're a good salesperson.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly. So, I mean, how many times, if you think about that, how many times that we know that person and their families always told them, hey, you know what, you would make a good salesperson. And I mean, we've all heard that. We've been told that, have we not?
I've been told that. I was a salesperson, entrepreneur. I think maybe that generation gets it a little mixed up.
Yeah.
But I in what was it? My middle school years, you're gonna laugh. I made finger skateboards. I was a big skate dude, and I had my hair all the way down to the side, and I always had about 4 or 5 decks hanging up in my room, and I got into selling fingerboards. and had a nice little method and process for doing. I had a little catalog. Back then, you would buy the Thrasher skateboarding magazine, if you remember, and they always had a nice photo of the deck. So you cut that out with an X-Acto knife. Had a process for compressing all the different cardboards. You break up all your Hot Wheels, so you'd have wheels and trucks and all that good stuff. And I just remember even back then, my mom said, "You're going to be a great salesperson someday."
Yeah, and you kind of think about that. I mean, so when when we meet those people and we say, "Oh, you'd make a good salesperson," the reason that we always say that is because they're a talker. That they've got the gift of gab. They're long-winded. They go on and on. That they're not shy.
I don't know if that's really a great trait for salespeople, though.
Definitely not. I mean, and I mean, we've all come across that person that just, you go somewhere and that person approaches you and they're like, ba, 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 and you just like want to run and hide.
Yeah.
And I think, so all these people get into sales because they've been brainwashed to think that they would be good in sales because they just can't shut their mouth. So what they are so dependent on to be successful is being able to talk to somebody. And I mean, and we've all seen that. We laugh about it. You send in a lead and the person emails you back and says, "Here's my phone number, give me a call." And it's like, dude, I just sent in a lead. If I wanted to call you, I would have called you. I'm asking you a question. Answer my question. And I don't want to do it over the phone. So I mean, it's mind-boggling to me of why we make everything so complicated, that why a dealer can't handle their leads, that they don't understand lead handling process. And I've sat in so many trainings and trained so many dealerships now, and the sales managers that are trying to train the salespeople, and I don't mean this negative, I just mean that it's their parents' fault. That they're trying to train their salespeople how to sell, and
it's your mom's fault.
Understand human behavior.
So you're blaming it on mom.
It's on mom's fault. It's all mom.
Well, can we also agree though, if sometimes depending upon where the lead's coming from, it can sort of set that it can set it up for failure sometimes, because maybe it was the way the question was asked, presented, the way the form was presented in front of the customer. One thing that I've done, for my goodness, counting back to whenever, maybe 15, 16, 20 years ago, when a lead would come across, even when it would come across Stone Age through fax, we get internet leads on the fax machine, remember?
Yeah.
But even to this day, the first question I like to ask the customer is, how would you like to be communicated to? And that's the last question in the email. Would you prefer email, text, video, and it's surprising, yes, you can quickly say, well, if they contacted you through email, then you should respond through email. Well, of course, because that's the very first response. But from there, I'm going to ask them, what would be more efficient for you? And it's amazing, because it's a great icebreaker. Because I think once you get that customer to respond to the first email, it's a lot easier to get them to respond to every email after that. I've got a great analogy for that, but I won't go into it.
And one of the things that I teach, that I'm teaching, our clients and even internally, our people, and here's a case in point. Earlier today, a lead comes in to our agency, and Kristen gets the lead, and I've got the 1, 2, 3 process. So you get the lead, email the person back. Don't expect to get an email back, chances are, because, what is that person doing at that time? They just had a free moment. Pick up the phone and call. And that's what she did. She picked up the phone and called. It went right to voicemail. She left a voicemail. And then the next step, send a text. She sent a text, and within 10 seconds got a response back.
Yep.
And the conversation's been going back and forth all day now via text. It's just so much easier. I'm sitting in the bathroom and I'm answering you. It's
That's the best place to do business.
That's exactly where we do business, in the bathroom. So,
and there's a good chance you'll probably make that sale. God, it was coming back into the dealer world 2 years ago. A lead came through, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to tackle this. Send out the first response. How would you like to be communicated to? She said text, everything through text. The first time I spoke to the person, the lady, was whenever she showed up to dealership to take delivery.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually wrote an article or started something in the forums about that. I'll have to look that up. Maybe we'll make that into a Bump of Tuesday next Tuesday.
There you go.
Yeah,
And one of the things that frustrates me, though, the trainers that are trying to train right now, the vast majority of them don't know
Was
shit.
that a Freudian slip or intentional?
No, it's intentional. I mean, because it's just amazing that the trainers that are training right now, not saying any names, can't sell themselves. They can't market themselves and they can't sell themselves, and they're out trying to teach people to do this, and they're giving bad advice. And what I mean, the very simple point, I mean, we've all heard this: get them into the dealership, or get them into the showroom. You never ask somebody, when can you come in? That's just insane. That's ludicrous. Why would you ever do that? And my point is, they will tell you when they're ready to come into the dealership, because if they were ready to come in the dealership, they would have already come. Let them lead the conversation and give them the information they want, versus trying to have your own, I guess your own, what's the word I'm looking for? Your own objective of what you're trying to do. Your objective should be their objective.
So what you're saying is the whole phrase, your presence is your leverage, that's not a really good one?
Not at all. I mean,
come on, man.
I mean, it's just, I need them here to know they're serious. Well, guess what?
I have to see that car. I gotta feel it. I gotta touch it before we can appraise it.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like one of those things.
They bring the car in and no one steps out the car.
All you're gonna do is pop it into V-Auto anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And if it's, and okay, yeah, the person is going to think that car's in better condition than it really is. That's just the way we are. Whatever we have, we think higher of it than what somebody else does. But give them the information, give them the price, and if it shows up, and I mean the steel's hanging out of the tires because it's got 4 bald tires, just point it out. Or, get that prospective client engaged by letting them say, hey, can you take some pictures of the car, take pictures of the tires, take all of these pictures and text them to me. So now we have a dialogue and they've done a little bit of work. That should tell you right there as a sales manager, they're legit. They're serious.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great stuff, Paul.
But kind of the squirrel thing, what I started talking about with mom, that we've told, mom told little Johnny that he'd be a good salesperson because he likes to run his mouth. And so that salesperson, and I'll put that in quotes, salesperson, thinks that they have the gift of gab. So they think that they cannot be effective. They're not efficient. And they're not doing their job unless they get the person on the phone, because we have to be able to talk. And that's why if we're not able to talk, we say, oh, well, that's a crap lead. Or, it's not a quality lead. They're not really serious because they won't talk to me. Dude, I don't have time to talk to you.
Badly.
So if there's no phone number, or the phone number is a bad number,
just throw that into the long-term follow-up category. Or
yeah. And and like in the video, that I was amazed, because that video that we shot, it was just I was doing a training for our performance managers and going over this because we had so many clients that were saying, I'm getting bad leads. And I'm getting frustrated. And I'm like, you are not getting bad leads. And that's what really frustrates me, that so many times we say it's a bad lead. Let's be honest. There's not many 12-year-old boys filling in a lead form about that Corvette. We've heard that story for years, and it's stupid as hell. It just doesn't happen.
Totally, like that doesn't happen. I'm really like, what kind of videos are you watching, Jeff?
What do you mean?
Look at your up next videos.
I just rebooted and cleared the cache on my computer, so I have no
Facebook
idea.
thinks highly of you.
This actually scares myself there.
Yeah, no kidding. We didn't know you had a second language, Jeff. What's up with that?
That or Facebook thinks this is what's next after your video, Paul.
It's Facebook. There's really no answers to the questions. So,
it's crazy that I got linked into that category, that they think I'm it's kind of funny. Facebook probably has what we would call the sales manager algorithm, and what I'm speaking in that video is complete Greek, because I did have some people sending messages and saying, Paul, you're full of shit, you're wrong. And I'm like, all right, dude, whatever.
Well,
Hey, we've got
anytime you
deals
challenge
constantly going
somebody's
up.
opinion, you're wrong, especially in this day and age.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, but I mean, it just, and I would ask you, I mean, Alex, Jeff, I mean, when's the last time that you shop for something and you put in a bogus phone number because you didn't want somebody having to talk to you? It's like,
Every
dude,
time.
I've already told you everything I need to know.
Every time. If
Yeah,
I wanted to talk to you on the phone, I'd call you.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
send a lead in because I don't want to talk to you on the phone.
yeah.
So how about I share the actual funnel of a shopper, a customer, what a customer really does? Meaning you, I. Does that make? Should I do that?
Are you gonna go through all 37 websites that Google says they hit?
No, we're going to leave those, and I'm not even going to talk about the 1.2 dealerships they visit either.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no, I'm going to stay away from all that. I'm just going to talk about, because what I love is just watching people and the psychology of why we do what we do. So we're early in the shopping process that we decide we want a car, but we have no idea what car we want. So we will do searches like the coolest car, or the car that will allow me to pick up more women, whatever my crazy search is going to be. So, I mean, but we search like that, or we do things like 2017 versus 2018 Toyota Camry. We want to see, can I get away with being cheap, that all my friends think I'm still rolling in a 2018, and I'm going to lie to them and tell them I have a 2018 when I really have 2016 or whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing my research. I've done some research. Maybe I'm deciding I'm going to get a Subaru because I'm moving to Vermont and I'm going to get a Labrador Retriever. I don't know. But my point is that I've done a lot of research, and then I find that car that I think I might be interested in. So I do put my phone number in there, my correct phone number, my correct email address, or I do call the dealership, whatever it might be. But the salesperson calls me, and I actually answer the phone and have a conversation with that salesperson. And I'm asking all these questions: rebates, incentives, colors, availability, trying to get an idea of the best price, because their website says get your best price. So that's what we're training them to do, is try to grind us on price, which makes no sense to me. So I've gathered all that information. And at that very time, when that salesperson hangs up the phone, what is that salesperson thinking? They're thinking, wow, I got a live one. I got a hot one here. And then the sales manager is hollering at them, why didn't you get them in? Well, first of all, they weren't ready to get in because they were gathering their information is what they were doing. They're trying to decide if that vehicle is right for them. So now all of a sudden something happens, their HVAC unit goes out. So they say, well, I can't really afford it now, or I got to pay for college, or whatever it is. So the thought process goes on the back burner, or they start having buyer's remorse because they feel like I better buy my wife a car first if I want to stay married, whatever it might be. And then they get hot again. So now they're much more serious about the purchase. So now what they're doing is they're going to grind the dealer on the price, because the dealer is saying, get our E-price, get our best price, unlock price. It's all price, even though no other industry does that other than automotive. Mm-hmm. So they fill in a lead form, but they put the incorrect phone number in there. And that's because they don't want to talk to somebody. They already know everything they need to know. Right now, they're ready to purchase, and they will purchase immediately if somebody will answer them. So that's why the phone number is incorrect. But here it is. The salesperson gets it. They call. It's a bad phone number. And they're like, oh, that's a crap lead. So they go to the CRM and they mark it bad lead. That person's sitting there going, well, is anybody going to get back to me? And no one's getting back to them. So they get frustrated. So then they just say, you know what, screw it. And they end up just driving to the dealership that's closest, meaning somewhere near the mall where their home, their work, or they go to Auto Trader. Some, salesperson that's basically new in the industry that hasn't been brainwashed yet actually gets back to them, and that's the person that gets the sale. Point being, people putting a bad phone number in there are much closer to the sale versus somebody that will give you all their information because they want to pick your brain and get knowledge. Does that all make sense?
Yeah,
it makes total sense. And a lot of times, whoever gives more information, a lot of times are a little challenged in the credit area. It's like, whoa, hold on, we got the right phone number. They provided 2 different email addresses. We've got an actual
referrals,
mailing address. Hold on, something isn't right, So you're like, this is a credit challenge.
Here's a true story. So I decided it was time to get a new SUV, and this was just This was in December. Yeah, I wanted a new SUV. It was time to get a new one. And so I went to the manufacturer's website. I built the SUV to a T, everything I wanted. I saved it as a PDF, and I went to the various websites. And I started emailing all the different dealers that would have this, a Range Rover. So I started firing the email and I sent it to 12 different dealerships. Here's the build sheet. This is what I own. Here's the VIN number. This is what I want for my trade-in. I need a price. I want to get this ordered because they're going to start delivering in March.
But you're the worst customer ever.
I know, exactly. And that's, I've had a GM tell me that too. They said, yeah, we don't really waste time with that. And I'm like, really? But so I did everything for them and emailed it to them, 12 different dealerships. Guess how many dealerships got back to me?
None.
4.
4. Okay.
4 got back to me. 2 of them said, I need to bring my vehicle in, which, by the way, only has 16,000 miles on it. I need to bring it in for them to see it, to be able to give me a trade value. I don't have time. I'm running a company. It's really simple. I don't have time.
I would have thought like that was something that we dealt with a lot at our BMW store. It's just CEOs or executives and organizations who don't have 6 hours in a day to go fuck around at a dealership. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, and 2, typically they're not need buyers.
No, they're not.
I mean, I'm at a Benz dealership. No one comes in here needing to buy a car. They want to buy a car, and they can quickly go in and out of the market like that.
Yeah.
Because something happens or they get busy. And again, since they're not a need buyer, they'll come back to this project when they have the time. So if you're able to make it quick and smooth, you answer all the questions, you give them all the right information, you quickly make a sale. I've always been, and I train that here, is we use a couple different products, services that takes all the information, puts it into a nice, I know you can print it out, you can send it to their phone, but it has all the service information, has Carfax, has photos. I mean, you name it, the cars, this packet of information has it. And you hand this to one of our customers when they're in the dealership. I mean, it's almost like they're floored.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in like my shopping process, because I'm out of the market again. I mean, I got so frustrated because then I had, where the 4 got back to me, and then, the couple said, no, I got to see the vehicle. And then the one guy just out and out said, no, I can't do it. I can't give you a price because when you go to trade your vehicle in, it's going to be worth different come, March when the delivery's here and the new vehicle. And I'm like, okay, you can't, whatever.
At least give me a number for today.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll change again. I'm reasonable.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I told him too. And he's like, yeah, I just can't do it. We can talk again in March. And I never heard back. And then the last one, I'm like, yeah, they gave me a number. They did everything. And even the manager TO'd me over the phone, called me. I was all excited. And he said, all right, so all we got to do is get the deposit. And I was like, no problem. I can do that. So I emailed them my credit card number to give them a deposit. I gave them, whatever. I think it was a $5,000 deposit on my credit card. I didn't think anything about it. I didn't check the credit card. So I called them last week and I said, hey, I haven't heard from you guys. Here it is. It's March. The vehicles are arriving now. And the response was like, what are you talking about?
They never did.
And I looked, they never did the deposit, and the salesperson's not there any longer. But even though I talked to the manager and he's still there, so they apparently don't review their CRM and say, we got a deal, it's working.
And that's news to you?
Where is this deal? Yeah, exactly. So I mean,
So how are we going to solve it?
So they sold a car and didn't even realize they sold a car.
Yeah, basically, or could have sold a car, and yeah. Amazing. So.
I thought you were going to say you tried paying with Bitcoin.
Yeah, for real.
That's on the.
No wonder they didn't take you serious, Paul.
Yeah, for real. I know, but I mean, and that's really the gist of the video, though, is that dealers are losing tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars because we don't really understand the shopping process, and we're marking leads bad when those leads that are being marked bad are actually the ones that are ready to buy this weekend.
So what would you recommend for a dealership? Sorry, Alex, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say this video provides solutions. So in the case of the bad lead being marked that way because of no phone number or bad phone number, you provide some next steps for people.
Yeah.
And, maybe we should go over that, but also I'd like to explore the scenario you just presented in your own card purchasing experience. Maybe we could talk about some solutions for that too.
Mm-hmm.
So fire away, man.
All right. Sounds good. So
way to cue him up, Alex.
yeah, for real, no doubt.
I don't know if that's a full softball, but
pretty much. So there you
okay.
go. But I mean, and one of the things that I did in the video too is I broke it down and I showed in the CRM, I'm actually in eLeads, and I'm showing where are the salespeople at and what's happening with the salespeople and just measuring their performance. And there's a little setting in the CRM that you can see how often your salespeople are logging in, but more importantly, how often are the sales managers logging in? Because it just really blows my mind of we'll have those sales meetings and we'll bring the salespeople in that are on the sales floor, but we don't bring the people in that are handling the internet leads. And you think how it's all been kind of a role reversal that, our lot ups, our showroom ups are now, 1/10 of what they used to be, and everything's coming via our website, but we're not giving it the value that it needs or deserves. And so that would be the first step is you need to have the people that are handling your leads in there. And one of the things too that the salespeople are doing, or the internet managers or internet people, whatever you call them in your department, is we don't understand it as a manager of what's really happening. And we're thinking, oh, it's okay if somebody's trying to handle 200 leads or 150 or even 100.
Yeah.
But we know that we spend, we can't do that on the showroom floor, that we have, 20 salespeople on the showroom floor and we're only receiving 200, walk-ups more or less. And so my point is, it just doesn't make sense. Why are we so heavily weighted on the showroom floor and so light with the people that are handling our internet leads when the traffic is completely opposite? I hope that made sense.
Because most of the leads are bad.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Most of the leads are bad.
No, that makes total sense. So,
well, and actually, that's a good one. We had John Berna on. Was that last week?
Yes.
Yeah. So, John is with Driven Data and has access to incredible amounts of data, and he's connecting some things in some pretty awesome ways. But John said that he's discovered in watching the data that about 60 leads per month is about all somebody can handle.
Well, that's somebody that's efficient.
That's a lot smaller number than we've been, led to believe over the years.
Yeah, we've always been touting 100 to 150.
Yeah, which is incorrect. And I showed that in the video that I'm going over and I'm breaking it down. So we have the one guy, Michael, at this dealership. He's the top sales guy at the dealership. So therefore, when I mean top sales guy, he's the one that has the relationships in the community. And when somebody hits that showroom floor, he's got a really good chance of closing him. He's got the personality. He's got the follow-up skills. He has everything that he needs. So therefore, the internet director automatically thinks, well, let's send more internet leads to him, because if he's really good on the showroom floor, he's going to be really good with handling internet leads. And we see right there that, when we go over the numbers, and the numbers are all there, but the problem is managers are not looking at it. It's all there. The data's there. And I know we have all these logins, but with this individual, what we've seen was he is good. If he's receiving around 50 leads, his closing ratio is around 24%. So he's doing well. And but you start loading him down and he drops down into the very low numbers. So they're pumping like 100, and I think it was 120 leads to him. And his closing ratio is like 4%. This is a guy on the showroom floor that's selling, 25, 30 cars a month just by traffic coming in and his relationships. So yeah, that's true. 60, and that's somebody that's really dialed in.
Extremely dialed in. So you're saying that now they're pumping him 100 plus leads. His closing ratio plummets down to 4%. And So, I mean, is it the lead count, too many leads? Is it the fact that, why are they even giving him internet leads? That's my first question.
Well, because we always want a bone. I mean, he's a good sales guy. And hey, boss, where's my bone?
Well, have someone to work the leads to get them to, I mean, that's when you have someone specifically that works the leads to get that customer into the dealership in front of him. I mean, that's where he works best.
Yeah. And I have mixed feelings about that one too. Cause
I do too. I'll go back and forth with it.
Yeah. And I take everything like this bad leads video was really, I just always think through things and say, how would I want to do that as a customer? And I think that's the problem with, dealership owners, the dealer principal. And I don't mean as a negative, but we have to change our thought process and our mindset. And instead of saying, how do I want this to happen so I think I can profit more? What's going to be more effective for my sales team and how can I make more money? Instead, they need to say, how do I want this to happen that the customer, prospective customer, the client would really appreciate? Which I hate the word customer, by the way. I like the word client, but
Agreed.
Walmart has customers. But but the guy that my barber has clients makes no sense. But and he charges $10. But anyway, so I mean, I just kind of think about that, change the process. And while Michael, the guy that's handling the leads, does a really good job, he represents the dealership. He's just a pleasure to deal with. But limit him to like 40.
Yeah.
And track it and monitor it and see how he's doing. But I go through the lead reports and they're pumping so many leads to so many individuals that are getting. And I'll say this. The problem in a dealership right now is not that they need more leads. I've yet to see very many dealerships that need more leads.
Boy, they think they do, though. How do I get more leads?
Yeah, and they all want to know, how do I get more leads? How do I get more leads? Yep. And I even had the discussion in my office last week with a client, and he's, basically grinding us about, our AdWords campaigns and all that fun stuff. And I'm like, look right here. Your closing ratio is 6%.
Yeah. So
if we were to break this down, if you were to take it to 8%, this is how many more cars, 10%, 12%, because 12% is mediocre. So if you're at 6% and 12% is mediocre, how do you rank? But then we go to vendors. We go to these vendors that will mystery shop us. And I used to handle internet leads. I know when that mystery shop's coming through, I know exactly it's a mystery shop. So I'm going to be on my A game. And I think it just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, we've got Chris Leslie has a question about CRM data and who's responsible for making sure the data is good and clean. That's a tough one, isn't it?
It is and it isn't. And I use this term internally when we start working. And no, we don't use it internally. I actually have used it with clients. And the problem is when we let the inmates run the asylum, we know we have a problem. And you as a manager have to, and internally, like in my agency, if you're not putting, like when a phone call comes in with a client and when you make a phone call, if you're not putting it into our CRM so we can track everything, the first time you don't do it, we're going to explain the importance of it. The second time you don't do it, we're going to explain the importance of it, and we're going to put it in writing that we had to correct you on it. The third time you don't do it, we're going to put it in writing, and we're going to send you home.
So you actually want sales managers to manage people?
Pardon?
You want sales managers to manage people?
I know, that's a crazy concept, isn't it?
I've never heard of that.
Yeah. And the way I look at it too, it's not really managing. It's more or less that you're the conductor, that you have an orchestra and you're conducting is what it is. And you're trying to, but if you're the type of manager that you're trying to rule through fear, that's not going to work. And that's where I say you meet with them and you explain the importance of it. Because there's nothing worse than coming into the day and going, oh my gosh, here's the CRM. Let me just mark that I called. You didn't really do it. And the reason that you're not organized is because your manager is not making sure that you're organized. And we have to be honest, we are all lazy. Every one of us are lazy. And not in every single way, but I'll give you an example. For example, I get
lazy
home.
might be the wrong word. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt, and let's just say that we're an animal who likes to find the path of least resistance.
Right. Yeah. And that's, what I do when I get home in the evening, I'll sit down on the couch and go, oh, and Christy goes, my wife goes, what's wrong? Oh, I got a headache. And she goes, did you drink enough water today? And I'm like, no. And then she goes, you want me to get you some? And I'm like, if you don't mind.
At this point, no, I want a glass with some colored liquid in it.
Yeah, for real. But see, she's trained me to be lazy is what I mean by that. So I don't mean lazy in a negative. It's just, like you said, path of least resistance, Alex. It's really what it is. Yeah. And that's what, managers are like, oh man, I just don't feel like fighting that battle today. I gotta deal with somebody on the phone that didn't get a key fob or their floor mats.
Or they're swamped with deals.
Yeah, exactly.
In that particular scenario, I feel like it's 2018, and the technology is there to basically price all our used cars to market just fine.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we have technology yet that can't structure a deal for us? You're talking about $2,000 is what you're playing with in negotiations.
Pretty much anymore, yeah.
Yeah, there's some calculator that can figure this out. We don't need, for lack of a better word, desk monkeys so much so.
Right.
It's not. Somebody's gonna get really pissed off at me.
Are you trying to put Jim Ziegler out of a job there?
Shaking their head like, Alex, you've been out of the dealership too long. What the hell you're talking about? But I do feel like there's some big misses in the technology side. That aren't helping sales managers. And maybe that's because a lot of the technologies that are available have no idea what a sales manager does.
I agree. And I think that's
for turning it around.
Yeah, but I agree. And I think that's the same thing that a lot of the sales managers, have been out of actually the purchasing process, that they can't take what their own experiences, and when they're buying something and they don't understand what the internet managers are trying to deal with, or internet salespeople or salespeople. And there should be some really sitting down. It's, what I've done several times, I did last week, is I went into a dealership. I know this is a crazy idea. And I pulled in 4 salespeople and we did role play on how to handle phone calls. Internet lead comes in. What do? All right. We send the email answering the question. We pick up the phone, we call them, and then we send a text message. And we just did role playing of how that would go. And you should have seen the smiles on their face. They're like, I had no idea. And we take that for granted. We think that is so simple, so easy. And I know when I started out, it was like, yeah, whatever. Here's the yellow pages, go to town. Start with a Z. That's creative.
Cold calling, man.
Yeah, cold calling. But sales managers, because it's true, you've got 75 different logins and, the phone ringing off the wall, everybody wanting to do your Google AdWords and, better than everybody else or whatever it is, that they just got to block their time and say, I need to focus on my team. And they don't.
So there's some, let me find, Regina was saying that, she often hears that her sales team won't do it, and looking for unique ways to motivate them. And I think you just provided some of that. Ways to look in the CRM data, find those bad leads that really aren't bad leads. They're just, somebody's perception of a bad lead, and start hitting those up. And
one of the things that I used to do, and I shouldn't admit this, but what I would do, back in the day with Who's Calling, I was able to bribe somebody to be able to get into the back end of Who's Calling. And I would go through the Who's Calling information all the time, where a phone call would come in and the receptionist would just drop it on somebody's desk, a salesperson, that it went to their voicemail. And I would go through and I would do all these follow-up phone calls. And the other salespeople absolutely hated me because, it was my customer. It was constantly half deal they were wanting to do. And I'm like, no, dude, you haven't followed up. Just because you sold them once because they walked on the lot, and that doesn't mean you're but that's what I would do is I would just go through the system and call all those people that called and follow up instead of having to stand at the window like this and waiting for somebody to drive on the lot. But
well, that was my question. Like what would you recommend to a dealership? Almost like you're working backwards. So you've got the leads, you've got you got the salespeople that are saying, hey, these are bad leads. Is there a method that you would recommend to a dealership? Say, hey, let's go back 30, 45 days. Let's look at all these bad leads per se. Is there something that you recommend as a CRM or a BDC or internet sales, which I hate that term as well. I hate the whole term internet sales manager, internet sale price. What the hell is an internet sale price?
Yeah, I couldn't.
But is there a method that you would say, hey, go into your CRM, look at 45 days, look at it based on this criteria, and here's a message that you want to send out. Is there anything?
Yeah, and it's really simple. Here you go, real simple. Just pull that list of all those bad leads. Go back really long though. I mean, go back 6 months.
Yeah.
And pull those bad leads and just email them. Hi, my name's Paul. I know you sent in, because again, the phone number's wrong. I know you, contacted us recently about something. Is there anything I can help you with? Here's my mobile. Feel free to call me or text me on it or email me back. I mean, it's something as simple as that because you want to get them reactivated, re-engaged again, and now you're communicating with them the way they are. Because like you said earlier, Jeff, that in like me, my own personal, I was ready, I was motivated, I was ready to buy the new SUV, and they made it so hard. But they, if somebody was to email me now back, there's a pretty good chance I could be back in the market because here's spring coming, and I'm like, okay, yeah, it's been 4 months, and I'm ready to go again. But it's as simple as that. Just reach out to them and say, here you go. You can call me, you can email me, or you can text me. It's really simple. And
we've got a lot of people asking for the link to your video. So I just went ahead and posted that up on the Dealer Refresh Facebook page. You're going to get a swarm of views on this, Paul.
Nice. See if we can get it to 100,000 here by the end of the day.
Go.
It looks like you were there already.
Oh, I am?
102.
Oh, wow. All right, cool.
Yeah.
They're watching it in Korea. That's why you're getting all
nice. Yeah.
That's why all those next up video recommendations.
Yeah. And one of the things too that like like the 4 salespeople that I sat with, what I did is I had the internet director pull a list. For example, I said, where do we need more performance right now? What do we need to be selling more of? He said, well, we need to be selling more of the Toyota Camry. I was like, okay, great. That's going to be an easy process. So we pulled a list of everybody that had an older Toyota Camry. We divided the list amongst the 4 people and we made a phone call. And that's what I did, one-on-one. I mean, I had, I think, guys, Tony and Raphael, and I forget all their names, but we just made those phone calls one at a time, make the phone call, and then I would have the group coach them versus me saying, oh, you did it wrong. Oh, look, he did it better than you. I had the group coach them, and it was amazing of how they were doing when we did the role play, because it was just us, even though they were really uncomfortable to do it. And then when they started making the phone calls and they started coaching one another. So got that going. I'm like, okay, great. So what I want is I want somebody to be a team leader of this group of 4. And they just kind of sat there and looked at each other. Nobody wanted to speak up. Finally, the one guy said, I'll do it. I'm like, okay, here's the deal. The first individual that gets an appointment in a show, we're going to give you $50. The next individual that gets somebody in and they show and they buy, we're going to give you $100. But here's the thing. You've got to do it in 24 hours. So it created that excitement. And that's what's really missing in really any sales environment is we don't have that excitement where we just kind of come in and it's just like every day is just a drain. There's none of that high energy. Let's go. We're a team. Let's go after it. It's just like we leave everybody at their own, I guess, path of boredom that we don't keep it exciting.
Yes.
It just amazes me. But yeah, bad leads it's amazing. And we did that at one of the other dealerships. We pulled all the bad leads and the closing ratio on the bad leads was in the 30 percentile when dealership was normally closing at about roughly about 14%.
So sort of on the same topic, when you're setting up a CRM, because I get ridiculed for this. When you're setting up a CRM and you can set up the workflow, and you can set it up where on day 1, day 3, day 5, day 10, day 12, et cetera, all the way out to 45 days. You've got something different scheduled. And a lot of times, so as soon as you put a customer in, you've got this follow-up workflow for the next 45 days. That's a contact, a touch point almost every other day.
And it's a singular workflow that might not agree with the customer.
And of course, it keeps compounding and compounding. And a salesperson goes into their to-do list, and it's inundated with just, 3 weeks of follow-up that if they were going to make the follow-up, they would have already done it.
Yeah.
They would just do it. So when I set it up, I'll set it up where it's like, my workflow is very liberal per se. It's look, if you're going to do it, if they want to sell a car, they're going to do it. Me putting down this iron fist, and I'm not saying that there aren't times where you need to do that, but building that into a workflow, it's just it's a recipe for disaster.
Well, I'm gonna stomp all over that one, Jeff. Sorry,
okay.
I'm jumping in here for a minute, but there has been a CRM that looked at that and said, "Screw this, we're not going to build it that way." In fact, one of the guys commenting here, Rick Buffkin, is on it, and that's Keith Latman's CRM suite. And I'm not sure how much of that is still open with Dominion, but when it was just CRM suite, for sure, they don't give dealers the ability to change the process plans or set them up. They have what they call activity focus. And what it does is it looks at the way the consumer is interacting with the dealer, what time of day they're interacting with the dealer, how often, and then it comes up with approaches that you should take that are better for the consumer's way of wanting to communicate with you. You're not shoving the salesperson and the customer into a process path that was made up by somebody 15 years ago. It's probably not relevant anymore.
But I mean, the process is flawed in the very beginning, though. I mean, if you really think about it, then because the managers are always saying, get them in, get them in, get them in, very few managers are willing to work with somebody just via text or email only, whatever it is. But you just kind of think about that, because let's assume that I work for some company and I'm sitting here in front of my computer right now. It's so much easier for me to go to your website, submit a lead, and go back and forth via email and look like I'm working. It's just so simple. I don't have time to, I was thinking I'd like to get that lease for, I don't have time for that, because my boss is going to, what are you doing shopping for a car? Why are you stealing from us as an employee?
Yeah.
Or I can go to the bathroom and I can text you about this car.
You still love to do business in the bathroom.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. I have a picture.
Don't buy a used electronic device.
No photos.
No, I do have a picture of Jeff in the bathroom that we were in Vegas. We're all standing at the urinals, and Jeff's standing there with his phone like that, and there's a mirror in front of us, and I popped up my camera and took a picture of Jeff in front of the urinal.
You do not have that photo.
I have that photo.
Speaking of fun stuff, I got to give a shout out to Mike Phillips. He is dropping the good ones in the comments today.
Yeah, I see.
Especially like salesperson powers activate.
What's up, Mike? Well,
speaking of time, we are coming up on 2:00 here. We've been on here.
You like how I kind of avoided? I didn't really give all the details I gave in the video, so people have to go watch the video so I can retarget them.
Yes, it's an hour-long teaser for your video.
Well, at least you're being transparent about it.
I believe in transparency.
Retargeted. No,
it's not like you're in the advertising business or anything.
No, not at all. So yeah.
Who, Paul?
No,
he wouldn't tease the whole thing.
No,
but no, we appreciate the time. Is there anything else we wanted to touch on? I mean, we could probably sit here and talk 2 more hours about this.
I think we could hit one little thing.
Okay.
What would that be?
So, are we saying that dealers need BDCs?
Ooh. BDC or no BDC? Gosh.
I say no. And the reason that I say no, but it would be a huge change for so many dealerships, but you have salespeople there, and the salespeople just have to understand that those very salespeople that are trying to sell the cars have a completely different shopping process in their own personal lives. So why wouldn't they want to change the way that they're trying to sell vehicles? And I'd say it should be the salespeople, and the salespeople should be scheduled where, hey, you know, I'm one of the salespeople, and I know that between this hour and, you know, these hours, I'm going to have a 4-hour block that I'm in front of a computer. I'm following up with my leads. I'm walking around with my mobile phone. I'm following up with my leads. I'm taking, you know, ups on the lot, and I'm doing that. And I'm using this as a tool to be able to sell so many more cars. But as a salesperson, you know, and I talk about this, as a salesperson, I need to know where's my sweet spot of, you know, my closing ratio. And of course, that would determine how many leads I'm receiving, but I have to be responsible to decide that. And if I want to make more money, then all I have to do is say, you know what, I'm willing to work a little more. I'm not in that work-life balance, and I'll handle some leads, you know, in the evening and on whatever. And this bell-to-bell stuff, 9 to 9 and stuff, it's got to stop. I mean, it's just, you're not going to get quality people, because we are all interested in the quality of our life anymore. I mean, we're not those people that want to work 100 hours a week. At least the vast majority of us are not.
For yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. So.
No, that's a great point. And I think, you know, a lot of dealerships struggle with that. You know, when it comes down to hiring, we've got Hireology, Adam over there. He writes some great articles over on the DealerRefresh blog, and touches on that subject quite often, actually. And it is, you're right. It's I guess it's bled over into our generation as well. I don't want to be at the dealership, or any job for that matter, you know, 80 hours a week. You know, I want a good quality life. I want to, when I'm at work, I'm working hard, I'm working efficiently, I'm working smart. But whenever I'm not here, I sort of, obviously, you know, we're in sales, so we keep on working, at least mentally. But I want to do the least amount. You know, I've got 2 kids, and, you know, they need my attention. So, but dealerships still, you know, they struggle when it comes down to hiring, you know, good quality people. And again, that's a whole nother subject. My goodness.
Yeah.
But real quick to go back. So, but, you know, in certain words, you also said, you know, and we also agreed that finding salespeople, you know, the gift of gab, it actually takes maybe quite the opposite. So, you know, you're saying no BDC, but isn't it hard to find people that fit into both of those buckets? You know, they've got the gift of gab. They're great when you get that, when they've got a customer in front of them, you know that they've got a 60, 70, 80% closing ratio, but they're not the ones that are either good on the phone, or they're not the ones that are going to pick up the keyboard and send out a great email, or typically they don't have great follow-up processes. You can give them 100 different tools out there. We use some great tools that help my salespeople out and make it so easy to do follow-up, and it's good informational follow-up. You know, it's not like, oh, are you still in the market for a car? It's, hey, I've been thinking about you. Here's some great inventory. Here's some great data on this vehicle, etc. So, you know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? It's like, how do you find people that are able to do both of those?
And it's all going back to the numbers. I mean, we have all these great CRMs, and you can go and you can see, you know, who's doing well. Is it Steve? Is it Tom? Is it Mary? Who is it? And then you have to make that determination as a manager that this person's really great on the floor, that they have that talent to really connect with people, but they don't do so really well with the leads. So I'm only going to give them 15 leads, but that's fine. That's all they need because they do so well on the floor. And then you've got the person that's really good that wants to sit in front of the computer and type up these long emails and send text messages, that they're really good at that.
But
and
maybe they're not so good at the face-to-face. So now aren't you, now you're naturally going to have maybe two different departments.
No, I don't think you still have the individuals that might only receive 10 to 15 leads, so they are part of the team. But and I think what it really is you have to look at it that I have a team, and all of us, we all have strengths and weaknesses. So understand the strengths and weaknesses of your individuals and put the team together so they can support one another. And I mean, it's as simple as that. But
so people.
No, so I get what Paul's saying, and I like where you're headed with this. So if you had where CRMs could help with this, and none of them do this yet, so maybe this is treading new ground, but what if, all these CRMs have a round robin lead assignment system? And what if the round robin lead assignment system had another level of intelligence behind it, where it would assign leads based on your closing ratio of the prior months, or a running 90-day average of how you've been handling those leads. So the salesperson who might have been at the dealership for 20 years and sells 20 cars a month because he's got a huge referral base, 10 to 15 leads is the right number for him.
Yeah.
And
or what if you based it off the actual lead source? Maybe they're
that
really
too. That's a whole other level of
your favorite.
The way I teach the managers, it really is easy. All it is it's just doing a little bit of math. You sit there with the CRM, you see how your team's doing, you look back over the trend, and then you decide. You say, okay, Steve, you're going to be in front of the computer following up, doing the follow-up process from 2 to 4 p.m. But Mike, you're going to be there, and you're going to be there from 1 to 5. And it's just really easy.
We tried to do that at Checkered Flag. That didn't work out too well. The sales agents hated it, and just because no offense to anyone that I worked with in years prior, but sales managers didn't really enforce it that well. So it came the time somebody ran out and picked up coffee for everybody, or I might be dating myself because it's almost near pre-Starbucks, but it was definitely the time to go out and go pick up lunch and that kind of thing. And doing that assignment. But I do believe that technology, and that's because maybe I'm a technologist at heart, can really help with some of these things. We just need to get the right technologists building the right tools in the right places. Yeah.
And, it's back to the point too, that when you have someone in there that's in the room, in the boiler room, whatever you want to call it, you want to make it fun, make it exciting, is that you want to have contests going on with them all the time to keep them energized. And, when I started my career, with radio and TV, and I had salespeople, I always had something going on. So it was always exciting, whether they were getting, dinner certificates, getting cash, getting trophies. It just kept it exciting. And it's really a simple process. But, and one of the things that I would say, though, is while you're doing that as a manager, you can't always be sitting behind your computer trying to do it. You have to be in the room with your team. You have to be pumping them up. You have to be helping them. But instead of you trying to tell them how to do it, get the group to tell them each other how to do it. Because if you say it, they're kind of a little resentful. Oh, he hasn't sold a car in 15 years. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But if they're coaching each other, then that's what's going to make the difference.
I like that.
By the way, Jeff, you should bump one of those BDC threads you're just playing in.
Well, I was going to bring this up. So, someone always says, you bring this up quite often, Alex, we need a better search on DealerRefresh, and we do. And we're going to be working on that. This is definitely one of the housekeeping items. We're going to have a more powerful, robust search, and it'll be a search that also that looks at the forums and looks at the blog, because between the two, there's an endless supply of knowledge, of course. But until then, we do have, and always have had for quite a few years, is a DealerRefresh custom search. It does work through Google. It does search the blog. It does search the forums. And I almost dare you to go into our DealerRefresh One search and type in BDC or no BDC, and you will receive about 15, almost 14 years of different articles that touch on BDC pay plans, BDC or no BDC, averages for closing ratios, all that good stuff. I mean, it's not scary. It's pretty freaking awesome to do a search like this and have so much information at your fingertips. In order to access that one search, if you go to DealerRefresh and you look at one of my comments underneath anything that I make a comment on, and we'll get this added into some other areas. If you look at my signature, it will have a direct link to the DealerRefresh One search. And we'll find some other areas that we can add that to. So
it's also in a Bump It Tuesday thread. So how
it
can
is
Bump It Tuesday?
So we'll get it out there. We'll have it more relevant and find some other areas to integrate it. And
temporarily, this is the link for both search. Pretty soon, this will be the actual search.
So let's wrap this up, Paul. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, we could go on for hours talking about this great information. And this is stuff that a dealership, you don't need technology to get this done. This is 101 stuff. This is common sense stuff that we just don't implement on the dealership level. We forget to. We say we're too busy to get it done. We like to point fingers in other directions. But the reality is, go into your CRM, start working, start undoing maybe some of the things that you have been doing for a long time. And you're going to sell more cars. There's no doubt about it. You're definitely at least going to get the opportunity to do so. So again, Paul, awesome information. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and we got to have you back here real soon. And we'll probably within the next month or two. We get so many people asking to be a part of this, and sometimes I feel bad because we'll have a few that there's like, oh, we haven't been on DealerRefresh. We haven't even been asked yet, and it's like, well, there's only 4 Fridays in a month, and we just So, but we'll eventually get everybody on. So no doubt about it.
Yeah, we need to have a talk about video, and
I would love to. You're like the video meister, man. Well,
Yeah.
it was between you and who's that other guy that was the video SEO rock star?
Sean Bradley?
Oh yeah, that guy. That was quick, very quick. So yeah, we would love to have,
yo.
I mean, what would you touch on in video? Maybe just set up our next Refresh Friday with you.
Well, we have started pulling a lot of clients away from spending so much money on Google, because Google really is what newspaper was. And, I'm getting ready to do a think tank about it, though. I just think about the way we started. And we would go into the newspaper ad. We would do what we call the page buster. You guys remember the page buster, the 7x15 ad?
Sure do.
So we would start with a page buster. We weren't selling enough cars. We'd go to a full page. We weren't selling enough cars. We would go to a double truck. We weren't selling enough cars. We would spin the ad sideways. We weren't selling enough cars. We'd spin the ad upside down. So, I mean, we were always willing to change and adapt and try new things. But then all of a sudden Google came along, and Google's been around for so many years. And all we're doing is we're not selling enough cars. We spend more money in the same platform. And so we've started pulling dealers out of so much Google. I'm not saying anti-Google, but definitely not as much.
And you're referring to paid search.
Yeah, paid search.
Okay, just clarifying.
Yes, paid search. And started moving them over to Facebook. And everyone's, Facebook's bounce rate. But Facebook now is driving more leads, more quality leads than what Google is. And it's probably 20% of the cost. And then we said, all right, well, we got to change it up because, and there's not a lot of competition.
You don't have to buy your dealership name on Facebook.
No, you don't. But where we've seen
that spend 95% of your budget on it.
Yeah. And, and negative keywords.
Yeah. We're doing really well with Instagram. And
exactly.
I've been working with UnityWorks, and we're on a really solid program with them where I don't need to get into the specifics, but every 3 months we put together a really great quality video, and I go around more of a branding approach with it. It's working fantastic. It really
and if
is.
you want it to work better, though, what we've realized, because we're doing videos, it's one.
Paul Potratz.
No.
No,
every 3 months. Well, yeah, that too, actually. But but every 3 months is too long because we are on social media sites like Instagram and Facebook so much more often than anything else. Your creative dies much faster. So if you're changing the creative out every 2 weeks, you will see a crazy lift.
Well, and that was just a program that I'm on, but the program that I'm on, it makes it really affordable for dealerships. Like you said, the cost associated with Facebook advertising, and of course that goes along with Instagram
and LinkedIn. We're getting crazy response off LinkedIn, but it's expensive.
I haven't looked into that.
Yeah, LinkedIn. What we're getting off of that is like, wow. But it is expensive. I mean, what you think it would be, but the engagement on LinkedIn has been
But of course, now are you talking about BDC for your dealerships or for
dealerships?
Even your Kia dealerships?
Everybody. Okay.
Because I tested that out years ago with Mercedes, and it was horrible. But again, this was
what you do today won't work, but what you do tomorrow might.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Exactly. So but it's
after all this great information, the walk away is no, that cues it up. Well, Paul, we'll have you back on, and we'll dive into video.
Yeah, video on different platforms. But I mean, the biggest point is no one's experimenting, and I'm doing a video about that, just talking about how ad agencies have lost their creative advantage. It's not all their fault, but it's like we're scared to leave. I mean, Google has become, what newspaper was, that we were scared to leave newspaper.
Yeah, I think it's already there. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. So. Instead, the agencies actually come out and go, oh, you should be spending more money because you're not hitting your percentage of market share.
Yeah, your impression share is too low.
Yeah,
let's spend more money.
Share is too low. Spend more money.
Yeah, spend more money.
All right. So, all right. Again, thanks, Alex.
Thanks,
great call. Fantastic. Can't wait to have you back for sure. Thanks everyone that's joined us today. Another great Refresh Friday. Already looking forward to next week. Be sure to jump on the dealership, DealerRefresh dealer forums. Sign up. Quit being a lurker. And the amount of lurkers that it drives me crazy. Alex knows because I go on a little rampage from time to time. So sign up, get your information in there, become part of the community, have some discussion, start a discussion, answer a question, ask a question. We've got such an enormous amount of resources in our community. There's no other community out there in our industry that has true detectives behind it. And if you've been on the community here past couple of weeks, you would know exactly what I'm talking about. But I mean,
thanks, Crick and Chris and Alex. Craig and Alexander.
What I mean by that is, no one gets away with anything on Dealer Refresh. If I could go back and archive all the little tricks that people in our industry try to play by getting their message out there, basically spamming, in these little coded secret ways, it doesn't happen on Dealer Refresh. And that's an important thing because there are some neat little tricks out there that some of the vendors can play, and a lot of times they're startups, and you just don't get away with it on Dealer Refresh. Good luck, man. You try spamming Dealer Refresh and pulling off a fast one. you're going to get called off. You will get called out. So, but again, sign up, be a part of the community. Don't forget the blog. We've got some great information over there, some articles. We've got more and more articles being pumped through. So that's always great stuff. Follow us on Facebook, of course. Refresh Fridays are always, of course, right now we're live. That will become a recording that will be on Facebook. And of course, we also bring that over into the DealerRefresh, I've said it too many times today, YouTube page. So be sure to check that out. Paul, I've got your video posted up on our DealerRefresh Facebook. And I think—
And everybody needs to share that.
Yeah.
We'll put it in the forums too.
Yeah, everybody needs to share that because that's where you get the good quality. It's shares, not views.
You got that right. And I think before the day's out, we'll publish that over on the blog as well, if that's okay with you.
Sounds good to me.
Fantastic. So again, thanks everyone. Paul, thank you so much. Alex,
thank you guys.
I want a creaky door, Jeff.
And
yeah, creaky door.
No. So we're out. See everybody soon. See you next week.
Excellent.
Thanks, Paul. That was awesome.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Don't work too hard. Have a good weekend. Go Snow.